want to talk?
I'll talk a little. I'm so tired. I want to start with what we call our alien fluorite, and this is our Congo, Orongo, and Unganja case. A little bit of everything in here, but this, given the right light, it's an amazing phantom piece with the rectangles that are inside. So the grandkids call it the alien piece. In front here, we have a very, very unusual Orongo fluorite that's been Spinel twin, yeah.
It's the
long,
first,
elongated.
for the longest time, before they tested it, they thought this might in fact be a new mineral. It was so uncharacteristic for fluorite that they did have it tested, and it was a pure fluorite crystal with very, very unusual twinning characteristics. There's another example of it here. There's an elongated, almost rhombohedral crystal of fluorite, which is another form you just never see, with a variety of interesting zoning and purple and green color banding in it.
Let's show the torbanite.
This metatorbonite from the Congo is pretty spectacular, just a forest green, very large bladed crystal. It's obviously radioactive. It's the only one we brought of that type. It's just a spectacular piece in and of itself. In the back is an interesting piece. This is actually a hollow vug. It's been turned on end where you can't quite see it, but the dioptase in here goes all the way through and comes out the back side. You can see the back end here, but that's a vug. The cavity, as you can see, is lined throughout with some wolfenite, and what is even rarer, most rare, is having dioptase on the wolfenite surface. That's extremely unusual for anywhere in the world. There's only 2 places I know of that have ever produced that, and we have examples from each in the display. This is an unusual wolfenite from Mfudi, I think is how they say it, in the Congo. It was a very, very thick, almost tabular type of a wolfenite. It's kind of a cross between the bladed and the tabular crystals, so it's an unusual form. There's very few of these around. It was a short-lived old mine, I think in the 60s of some sort. And some of these others are Orongo Mountain aquamarines. This big plate in back is a spectacular plate of Orongo Mountain aquamarine with shorls, and there's a variety of sceptered, I can't remember if there's dolomites or I think they're actually feldspar crystals that are etched in such a way that you've got the form of the edges, but they're now hollowed as if they were sceptered crystals, which makes for a very aesthetic piece. It really is a fascinating plate. Before I go on, there's one other piece I want to emphasize here. Excuse me. This carolite is the biggest carolite I've ever seen, and it's gigantic. It's about 6 or 7 centimeters tall, just a perfect octahedral. Actually, it's really pyramidal, but it looks octahedral crystal from this angle. And it's just a gigantic, really heavy, solid carolite, which is a rare metal mineral in any size, never mind that size. Yeah, just a wonderful piece. You want to do this one? I'm on a roll.
Every time I do,
I take it back.
start talking.
This is Sumev. This is another case example of how do you boil it down to one case. There's a selection of things for variety as much as anything. So a lot of really great pieces got left home, but we put together a large snowflake cerussite that we have in the back, and the photo here is this wonderful, I call it filigree. It's a highly reticulated with cerussite, transparent, not only transparent, but you've got open void spaces all the way through the crystal that are fascinating. A full star snowflake cerussite here with a V-twin beside it. Some really interesting azurites on, I think this is a livenite on the matrix here in this piece. That's actually a very heavy piece. There's a lot of other interesting minerals in there somewhere. This is an interesting story. You want to tell the dioptase story? I'll tell it briefly. Gail was given a challenge after learning what the rules were for competition for the finest piece to get a 10. And
when we first came to Tucson, some of my friends said, we're going to challenge you to go out and find a perfect thumbnail. something, and we're going to give you some clues as to what you need to look for. You need to look for a crystal that sits up high, is nice 360 degrees, has other associated minerals, has matrix, blah, blah, blah. So I went out on a mission, and I was getting very frustrated because every room I was going into, unfortunately, I was being ignored quite a bit. And I went into a room, and there was a woman in there who has since become such a dear friend named Helene, and she had worked with me, and I walked around, and that was the piece that I came out with, was this gorgeous, gorgeous crystal. And ended up becoming such good friends with her, and she became my mentor, and she's since retired from working, but she was at Collector's Edge for quite some time. And when I brought it back, all the people who had challenged me to find it gave it either a 9.5 or a 10. So I did my job just fine.
You did really well. So that turned the number of heads, because we were newbies and said, "Oh, just what do they know? They collect aquamarines." That changed in a hurry. And we've learned a few things since then, as you've heard as we're talking. Right in front here is a more classic Cooper adamite, kind of a rosette. There's a deep dark forest green. There's another one over here. What is unusual is that this kind of hidden behind this wonderful dioptase, this is also a Cooper adamite behind it. It's a long prismatic bladed crystal that is extremely rare. I've never seen another one like it. Ralph Clark had that. We were lucky enough to acquire that from his collection. We've got some willemite here. This is a cast after a cast of some other minerals.
Hold on a second, we're going to stop for a second.
We're going to continue on with the Sumab case here that we were in the middle of a moment ago. A couple of other interesting pieces. This is a piece I just adore. It's a arborescent copper covered by bright red cuprite crystals. So you've got a red branching tree with some calcites and other country rock mineralization attached to it from Sumab here. This piece is a baledonite pseudomorph after mimetite with some really interesting dark green malachite on the side and back side of it. This piece has been turned sideways, so you can't see that it's a arsene sumabite after malachite, but there's a cluster over on this far right side of that. It's similar in material to this piece back here, which is one of our superstars. It's the same arsene sumabite after mimetite on azurite, which in turn is in a vug of country rock from Sumab. This is actually a famous piece because it was painted and is included in the Equid book of mineral paintings. A variety of other cerusites and some interesting pseudomorphs, in this case of very large azurite crystals, pseudomorphed to malachite, overcoated with an unusual for this locality green or Cooprian smithsonites. You can see some of it inside. The whole backside is covered with these wonderful smithsonite rhombohedral crystals. This is a 360 piece, so it's kind of hard to display in a case like this.
Even in a case that's glass all the way around.
And on top of that, it's sceptered. There's a scepter cap right there on this side of azurite. So the azurite is sceptered after azurite. And this came out of the Smithsonian to us a couple of years ago as a result of some trades they had done with the Collector's Edge, presumably to get some rhodochrosites from one place or another. They traded out some wonderful pieces, so we were fortunate enough to grab a few of those. There's a what we call the bow tie azurite here. It's a doubly terminated azurite bladed here. Gail calls this the dragonfly, I think, as much as the bow tie. This is an interesting piece. It's from the famous 1972 gem pocket of mimetite. It's a lustrous, translucent to transparent mimetite crystals as a cluster. Unfortunately, when we acquired it, it was in pristine shape until our cat jumped on it and shattered it. So this is now a repaired piece, but it's still a spectacular piece. That's one of those, you know the term skinning the cat? That cat very nearly got skinned.